Chapter 9. For Peace, Prepare. The final delivery of drill supplies marks the end of a long task. The captain calls for a meeting in the dining hall, where Dr. Manning stands in front of a window-projected screen. Beside him is a podium where Captain Andrews waits for the room to fill. The screen displays a towering machine over the Pacific ice. It is illuminated from the bottom with lights in the never-ending shadow. Small people like ants descend the sides of the scaffolding. Dr. McGrady waits patiently by the side of the camera. In the dining hall, the other department heads are audibly impressed by the sight. To Elizabeth, it looks like an oil rig in the midst of an icy netherworld. Julius recognizes that such a feat would not be possible without gravitational manipulation, one of the best inventions of the past 500 years. Quietly seated, the room listens closely for instructions. Captain Andrews leans into the podium and taps the microphone. "Can I have everyone's attention?" The room laughs. The captain smiles at his sarcasm. "It's done. Let's hear an applause." The applause is accompanied with whistles and cheers. The next step is to reach our beacon, the thing that guided us here in the first place, the motherlode of all questions. His hand lays flat in a platter, to gesture towards the Zhao sisters. Linda has taken drones across to the source. There, she found a government facility in the middle of North America, a land that's been called Tornado Alley in the United States. The crew erupts in a roar of applause. The ancient land of America has been the inspiration of Zion's fantasy. The civilization of a simpler time has captivated artists and scientists alike. It is where Dr. Mandel and his crew of 2,000 once lived, the men and women who colonized Zion 500 years ago. The captain's hand calms the crowd as he smiles. However, we need to take care of one last thing here. Dr. Manning, will you do the honors? Dr. Manning turns with a hypnotic look on his face. His eyes look drained of energy, and his smile is faint. Absolutely. His tired smile makes the biological team laugh. Dr. Manning then looks above the screen and into the camera. "Dr. McGrady, commence drilling." Manning's second-in-command throws a switch, and the large contraption begins spinning and vibrating in silence. Lights jostle around the machine, and the camera itself shakes wildly. McGrady holds the camera still, and the audience sees his smiling face. He activates his intercom, laughing. "That was more than I expected." The crew laughs as the captain signs off. "Make sure you come back in one piece." "Yes, sir," McGrady replies. Elizabeth turns toward Julius, but finds no smile, but a perplexed face. "What's wrong?" she asks. Captain Andrews descends the stage, and Julius approaches with intent. Elizabeth follows, but he does not respond. As the captain begins to pass by, Julius walks along with him. "Captain, why not go to New York? Why not someplace where we can get context for what we've found?" "New York," the captain says. Andrews' eyes turn quickly to Lawrence, and back to Winter. He stops to keep talking with the engineers. The captain asks for clarity. "Why would New York be the place to go?" "We need to know what to look for and what we're looking at," Julius says. "We should go to a major city. We need to understand the simple things first. We only just found out that those memory sticks are called USBs. We'll miss something of value if we don't know what we're looking for." Andrews shakes his head. "I don't think so. You know enough, and the beacon is important." Julius grows argumentative. "The beacon? Or is it something else you're hoping to find?" The captain winces his bottom eyelids. Julius looks stern at the captain. "I've avoided military work my whole career," Julius says. "I'd like to keep it that way. I don't want to build weapons." The captain smirks. "You didn't start out that way," he says. Julius looks down. His face falls. The captain loses his smile and frowns at the brows. "I'm sorry, Julius. This isn't war times, though." "That's what people always think." The captain laughs. "But they're not." "You let your guard down," Julius says. "You don't imagine what will come next. You think the world is at peace now and that it'll remain this way until it's somebody else's problem. I've killed enough people, Captain. I don't want to be responsible for any more death. I might never see the people who die from what we find here, But I don't want to kill anyone. You have the opportunity to stop that. The captain's brows gather. He sighs a gust of frustration, but he remains as composed as he can be. What we find is what we find, the captain says. Dr. Leachmere calls the captain from the other side of the room, and the captain excuses himself. Julius watches him leave and feels his blood steam beneath his skin. Elizabeth lays her hand on Julius's shoulder. It's the job, she says. It's not our place to ask questions. Julius looks at her. Will he be giving the weaponry to all the nations of Zion? He asks. I don't know, she says. Julius shakes his head. I just wish we could have science without war. Things won't happen like they did in New Memphis, she says. The world is different now. He shakes his head. Don't ever say that, he tells her. That's what people always say before the worst happens.